Welcome back to the Tweet Show podcast. As always, I am your host, Chanler, and I am back from my other long hiatus of podcasting. I've been a little busy with work and some other things. I haven't had the time, and sometimes I just didn't feel the motivation to do it as well. And now I'm back, hopefully for a little bit longer than I did from the other sort of hiatus. I mean, I think this second one, I guess, wasn't as long as the other. That one was a really long one. This one wasn't as long, I guess, because the last episode I did was in September, so that's been about September, October, November, December, February, so about 6 months. So another about a 6 months hiatus. I think the last one was almost a year of not doing anything. Anyways, I'm back. I'm gonna recap everything I sort of have missed, but not really, but kind of just talk about whatever sporting events are going on right now. We got the Olympics, we got college basketball. I mean, we've got some NBA stuff. We're past the All-Star break, so this is now when the NBA season gets interesting and all that other stuff. But I think this episode is just going to mainly focus on, I've watched some Olympic stuff, but I haven't really gotten into it. So, I know some storylines that we all know about the whole crotch skate thing. We know about Canadians that are cheating and curling, and there's other storylines that are happening in the this year's Olympics. I feel like this year's Olympics, or at least this Winter Olympics, I should say, has brought a lot of interesting storylines and controversies. And let's see. I mean, I'll talk a little bit about some personal life stuff, what's going on in my life, and I think that's pretty much it for the intros. Pretty much with that all being said, we'll get started with today's episode. Alrighty. Let's see here. I kind of got a list of, let's just do a quick rundown of what I have missed or I have not talked about on the podcast since the hiatus. I missed most of football season. Haven't been able to do any haven't done any episodes to sort of recap the NFL season. So here's just a quick preview, or I'm not even going to do that. That would be silly. That'd just be stupid to do, just to give you a full rundown because everybody knows what happened. So basically, I missed that. What I got to miss was to talk about the Bear season. That was fun. Man, if I was doing the pod then, that would have been fun to do. Miss that. We missed the recap of the Super Bowl, the Seattle Seahawks won, if you didn't already know. We got to talk we probably got to miss an opportunity to sort of debate or talk about the whole MVP race with Drake May and Matthew Stafford type of deal. I'm sure missed opportunities there. Let's see. What other NFL storylines were there? I mean, we probably would have said that this NFL playoffs is wide open or anything like that, I'm sure. What other sports events were there? I mean, we also missed the opportunity to talk about the whole Indiana storyline in college football, how Indiana was probably the greatest story in college football, from being literally one of the worst college football programs and happened to win a national championship against Miami. So we saw that. And then we also didn't get an opportunity to talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers winning another World Series in 7 games against Toronto Blue Jays, which that was an all-time great game. Let's see. In my list here of things, I'm trying to see the things I've missed. So Anthony Edwards won MVP in the All-Star game. I guess in the outside of world of sports, I guess if you want to call it not an actual sport, but we had a retirement. The GOAT John Cena retired from WWE. Let's see what other stuff did I miss. I mean, we're sort of in the I guess today is February 18th, so we're getting really into we're in the deeps of college basketball season. There's a lot of storylines going on with college basketball. So I guess we'll kind of talk about college basketball here since there's not much else to talk about prior to this episode or anything after. Anyways, college basketball. So I think the main storyline is that there's a good amount of, so like everybody's going to be talking about who's going to win March Madness, who's all these teams. And I listen and I watch at all these other people's opinions, and I watch the games and at least watch the games that I want to watch. I've kind of gathered a list of my own and taken other people's opinions as well and given it a thought about who I think is going to probably win a national championship, who I think probably won't win a national championship. Let me pull up my list here of a list of teams that are going to win it. The most likely candidates who I think are going to win national championship are probably Michigan, Houston, Duke, Arizona, UConn, maybe Illinois. Okay, so maybe I should do this more in tiers. So I would say the 5 teams right there I just said are going to be the most likely candidates. I think they're tier 1. I think those teams. Well, yeah, I think those teams. As long as Arizona's kind of dealing with some injuries, as long as they're healthy, I think they can win a national championship. I'm going to say those 5 teams are for sure going to win national championship, or are going to. I should say not for sure because anything can happen in March, and worse shit could happen. Either injuries or they lose to somebody. So, anyways, those 5 teams I think are most likely to win a national championship. UConn's kind of weird because I've watched a lot of their non-conference games because they were actually playing some good competition. So I watched them. I think they're a good team, but like once I've watched them in Big East play, they haven't really like killed anybody because like the Big East is so down this year. There's only gonna be like 3 teams that make it to the tournament this year out of that conference. The conference this year is just bad, just a bad league this year. So I would say they probably could win a national championship. I'm still gonna keep them in that tier just because based on their resume and the record and all that, because they have beaten some pretty good teams. They beat BYU. They did lose to Arizona. Arizona's pretty good. They did beat Kansas and Illinois and Florida as well. So like I said, they got some good wins under their belt. But like I said, they just kind of been not impressive during conference play in the Big East. So I haven't really given a whole lot of thought and like if UConn could actually win it up. I'm just going to give them the respect just because they've shown in the past that obviously they went back to back like 2 years ago or something I guess it's almost 2 years now. Anyways, and then I would say the second tier of teams that are like on the dark horse / they could win a national championship. I would say like teams like Iowa State, Kansas, Illinois, Florida. I would also throw in, who did I say? Iowa State, Kansas, Illinois, Florida, and maybe Texas Tech, but after this recording, we don't know the injury of JT Toppin, and also they just lost to Arizona State. That's kind of like Texas Tech is such a weird team. They're kind of a weird team. I think they are legit. I think Christian Anderson and JT Toppin are 2 of the best tandem in college basketball. They're one of the best 2 in college basketball, definitely in the Big 12 for sure. But they have weird losses. Obviously, last night to Arizona State, but I guess I don't know yet. The significant injury to JT Toppin. At least I was going to look it up here. And let's just look up to see if we have any updates on JT Toppin. I doubt it, but let's just give it a good old-fashioned look up here. No, I'm not even going to try to use Twitter because sometimes looking up things on Twitter is horrible. So let's just look up on the internet. J. Toppin. See if we get an injury update. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this is from Yahoo Sports. We'll read this article here. Let's see. After the loss, Grant McCaskill addressed the injury in his press conference. Okay. It's hard to say until we get a good look at it closely, but I just know he's really disappointed. He's such a competitor. He'll be back and get him look at it. So I guess, yeah, there hasn't really been too much of an update because I tuned in. I wasn't really going to watch the game because I figured Texas Tech was going to beat him. But I guess this was sort of a total letdown spot just because they just beat Arizona at Arizona and then having like about 3 days before having to play Arizona State. And this was going to be a total letdown spot for them. So I think because I tuned in with 3 minutes left, and the JT Toppin injury happened with about 5 minutes left. So I guess, like I said, I don't know what to make of Texas Tech. I guess if JT Toppin's healthy, I think they're legit. I think they could be a dark horse, or at least make a Final Four run for sure. Because like they got a tough loss, a close loss to Illinois, and then they got a blowout loss to Purdue, and then they also have good wins like Duke, Arizona, and Houston. So, and then they have some weird losses. I'm not going to say like the Arizona State one, I think is a bad loss. But like the UCF, I'm not going to say that's a bad loss, but like it's like a but it's like one of those like you probably should have won that one. But like UCF is also beating some good teams in the Big 12. They've beaten them. They've beaten Kansas, and didn't they beat anybody else any good? Trying to remember. What's UCF? Now this whole pod is just going to turn into a Big 12 pod now. I mean, yeah, they beat Kansas. They went down toe to toe with Arizona, but they have some ugly losses as well. I mean, I guess they just recently beat TCU. So I mean, okay, so yeah, I think those are basically it for dark horses. And then if you ask me who are going to be the like Final Fours or anything like that, I would say like Purdue, Nebraska, even though Nebraska just lost to Iowa. But I still think they could still make a deep run. I still think they're a very talented team. It's just, last time there was 5 upsets. So, I mean, everybody basically lost on the road. Like Nebraska lost on the road. Texas Tech lost on the road. I think North Carolina lost on the road. The St. Louis team, they're the probably most likely going to be the Cinderella teams that everybody's going to be picking in the brackets just lost. So I think there was another one too, but I can't remember. But yeah, this year's college basketball season has been pretty interesting because like I said, I think there's about five legit teams I think could win it all. And then obviously you have sort of the dark horses that I just mentioned a minute ago. But obviously there's probably going to be a team like maybe if Virginia comes out of nowhere, kind of makes a deep run, and makes it to a Final Four, or even I know some people are kind of down on Gonzaga just because they have the Portland loss and they got their ass kicked by Michigan. But yeah, and then also another storyline heading into coming up in this tournament is Miami of Ohio is still undefeated. They're 25-0. They just beat UMass last night, and they're 25-0. And basically, the talk is they basically are going to have to go undefeated this regular season, and because that way, if they lose a game in the MAC tournament game, like let's say either in their first game or the semifinals, they could still be in, but I think they at least have to go undefeated in the regular season to still be a contention for making the tournament. I think they should be in regardless if they lose one game in the regular season and another game in their tournament, or even go undefeated and then lose a game in their tournament. I think they should be in regardless. They should be in the field, no questions asked, put them in the field. If the committee does not put Miami of Ohio with one loss in the tournament, shut it down. Shut the whole tournament down. It's a joke. Because, yeah, I mean, like, there's some other teams you can look at here, like North Carolina, but they don't have Caleb Wilson. He's out for a little bit, but he said he's going to come back. So I don't know what to make of North Carolina. They also have some weird losses. So, and then you have like Vanderbilt, who was like sort of like a hot team this year, but then they have some ebbs and flows. So, and then like you've got like team like BYU, who I was sort of all in on this year. I was like, oh man, they got AJ DeBonza. They got some really good players. And then the news of Richie Saunders kind of sucks after, this past Saturday, he tore his ACL, so that he'll be out for the rest of the year. And it's basically just going to be him. It's going to be AJ DeBonza and Robert Wright basically going to have to carry that team to sort of what their potential was to make a deep tournament run and get to at least an Elite Eight. I would think would be satisfying for BYU fans, even though I'm sure a lot of BYU fans were thinking that they got AJ DeBonza to come to their school, and they were thinking that they were probably going to be definitely a national championship contendership for sure, just because you have a potential number 1 overall pick on your team and you have some really good pieces around them. But like sometimes I feel like BYU just isn't necessarily playing their best. They're just not really a great defensive team. They can score, don't get me wrong, they can score, but like they just haven't really been consistently been a good defensive team. So if they could somehow figure out how to play some type of better defense, I think that I could see BYU, and especially if the type of draw that they get and what kind of seed they are, if they're going to be like a 5 seed, because I think they're going to be a dangerous like 4 or 5, even maybe even a 6. I don't know, depending on how this year goes for them, how the rest of the season goes, because I still think they could be at least a 4. Let's look at since we're kind of just talking about the bracketology, let's just look up a bracket real quick and see what some of these teams are looking like. All right, I'm looking at Joe Lunardi's bracketology. This was updated as of yesterday at 8 a.m. All right, so the number 1 overall seed is obviously Michigan. You got Duke as a number 1 seed. Arizona and UConn are all still number 1 seeds. Let's find BYU. Where's BYU at here? Let's see. BYU. They they're a 6 seed. So man, they would just based on Joe Lenardi's bracketology. Oh my God, they would play Miami of Ohio. Oh man, that's a everyone's gonna be if that matchup would happen, everyone would totally pick Miami of Ohio, even though you would think Agent Avanza and the crew could easily get past a MAC team like them. Like weird things happen in March, so man, that would be a fun game to watch. I'm not gonna lie, BYU versus Miami of Ohio, man, that would be fun. That would be a good. I don't like saying out loud. I think, oh man, that should be a good game. But then like BYU blows them out by like 20, just because I think BYU is way more athletic than Miami of Ohio is, and strictly based on talent alone. I need to watch like a Miami of Ohio game, because I've only watched like a little parts of it. I need to watch like a game from start to finish. I need to watch a game just to see how actually good this team could be if they could win at least a game in the tournament. Because I think they could win a game just based on what I've heard and based on their record. I'm just going to give them the respect. I think they could upset somebody. I don't know who, because obviously the bracket isn't out yet, but like I think they could win a game. I'm going to say for now, until I watch a game or something like that, they're going to win a game. And then I also need to watch that St. Louis team that just lost last night to Rhode Island. I need to figure out, because what I've heard is basically they're really good. They're a pretty solid offensive team. They're really physical defensively, and their coach is going to be like a hot name this upcoming coaching cycle with all these soon-to-be firings are probably going to be happening. Obviously, we already have one firing with K-State and Jerome Tang let go. There's already one firing there. So let's see, what other matchups are there that would be kind of interesting in the tournament, just based on this projection here. UCF versus Clemson kind of sounds interesting. Let's see. Auburn versus Indiana. That would be kind of interesting. Then we've got, a South Florida versus Virginia, huh? At 12, I would definitely pick South Florida just based on Virginia's history of getting upsetted in the past. Let's see. Nebraska versus Yale as a 4-13. Yale is always like your team you're going to circle and come back to on your brackets, and you're going to be like, yep, I'm going to come back to them. I'm going to think about them, and you're going to do your research on them. Let's see. Kentucky versus USC. USC is making the tournament? USC is making the tournament? How is USC making the tournament? They're terrible. Are they actually making the tournament this year? Are they bad in the Big 12? Or not the Big 12, but the Big 10? What's their record what's their record? They're 18-7. They're 7-7 in conference play. I mean, come on. Really? We're going to let USC in as an 11 seed? Really? We're letting USC's in? Bro, they haven't played anybody. Tell me what's their best win? What's their best win? Wisconsin, I guess, just because Wisconsin's playing better. I mean, I guess they play Illinois this week, but like then they got Nebraska. So there's two opportunities to get, I guess, wins, but like I'm not buying in on USC. Come on. Plus they got that old head, fucking what's his name? Chad Baker Bizarro. Fucking like he's basically my age. Like, dude, get out of college basketball and go get a fucking job, buddy. Look, I'm all about, getting your playing as much as you want, in college, but like as there's a certain point where I'm like, all right, you gotta just go out to the real world, buddy. Either go professionally and out to the overseas or get a job in the real world. I don't care what you do, just get out of college basketball. So yeah. Let's see what other sort of anything else sort of in the college basketball world that I need to talk about. Let's see what games are on tonight. What games are on tonight that we can watch tonight? Let's see. What do we got tonight? All right, let's go top 25. Let me find the top 25 button. Here we go. Let's see. Intriguing matchups. We got Bama versus Arkansas. That's an interesting match. That's a good matchup to watch. We got Arizona BYU tonight. And then we got Kansas versus OK State. OK State basically trying to hopes to get in the tournament. And then obviously, like I just said a moment ago, and Illinois is going to USC to play USC. Yeah, I don't see USC making the tournament. There's no way they make the tournament. They're not that good. Any other under the radar matchups we should be looking at? Let's see. Now, I might say like a mid-major school, and it could just be strictly based off their records. If I see like a like a 20-17 playing a 16-8 team. I was like, oh, that should be an interesting matchup, just because both those teams, I'm sure, are trying to fight position in the conference standings, and could be a good game. Like, who doesn't want to watch Maryland versus Northwestern tonight at 7 p.m.? God. Or who doesn't want to watch Auburn versus Mississippi State? Yeah, that should be a fun one. Who wants to stay up late tonight and watch Portland versus Pepperdine? Or even later than that, at 10 p.m., we got UNLV versus Colorado State. 15-10 versus 13-12. Man, there's just some real fun matchups tonight. But yeah, like I said, the ones earlier, I think are gonna. Oh, here's an ugly one. Rutgers versus Penn State at 5:00. Yeah, no one's watching that unless you're a fan of those teams, and hardly even then, I wouldn't be watching that. If I was a fan of one of them, I'd be like, I'd have it on, but I wouldn't be paying attention. I'd be like, fuck this. Both these teams suck. This game sucks. No one's watching this garbage. Let's see. What other stuff should I talk about on today's pod? Since if I'm going to be a little bit more active on the pod, I'm going to be just shooting the shit, I mentioned I was going to talk a little bit about my personal life just for a moment. It's nothing like too personal. It's just like, it's kind of just like trying to figure out, asking the class about my dating life here. So I would think at least in my head, I go, I got some game. I got game. I'm a pretty decent looking guy. And, I'm not crazy active on the apps previously before about a month ago. I mean, I was, once in a while I go on there and kind of swipe and all that, but I wasn't like superly active. But then here, like recently in this like month or so, I've been going on there and I've been getting a lot of matches, and I've up to about maybe 5 girls that I'm talking to, and I don't know how I'm gonna figure this one out. I think I have an idea how I'm gonna do it, because I was gonna kind of joke around with the boys and go, all right, we're gonna make a little tournament here, and we're gonna like figure out, we're gonna break down make a bracket, write down all the details about every single one of these girls, and narrow down which one I should be more focusing on, or I should maybe even like go on dates with, or talk to them more, and then kind of like let the other ones drift out to sea and ghost them. Because there's one in particular I'm kind of getting real close to ghosting. Even though she's a really nice girl and all, but she's kind of a bit much for me, I think. But I like I said, I didn't really have that much success on the apps. Once in a while I would match with a girl, and then we kind of hit it off, and it could be partially on my fault for not, we're talking for too long and she didn't think I was making a move or anything like that, and that could be I will take full accountability on that. Sometimes I do think, now I'm kind of thinking about it, I might have kept talking without making any other type of moves, like, hey, let's go out for drinks, or let's go on a date, or anything like that. I was not thinking about how long we've been talking, and kind of just keep texting them and trying sort of to get to know them, even though I should have just made a move, but like, hey, let's go up for like drinks or something. Say something other than just, hey, what you watching this week? Hey, how you doing? Watching any good movies? Hey, did you see the game? Just stupid questions like that. So yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my dating life right now. It's kind of up in the air. You're gonna ask if I have sort of a favorite right now. Do I have a leading candidate on who I'm hoping could be a future companion? Maybe, kind of, I do. But again, I'm kind of just filling the field out. I'm still actively swiping, even though I'm still talking to a lot of these girls, and be like, because I'm all about keeping my options open, see what happens with any of these girls that I'm talking to right now. And any of these girls that see this and go, what the fuck is this? I'd be like, hey, I'm just keeping my options open. I doubt it any of these girls will, one, see this clip, or two, I haven't even told any of them that I have a podcast and I do any this type of stuff. So anyways, it's going to be interesting here pretty soon, because I think I am gonna be going on I'm supposed to be taking one of these girls out for drinks, but I haven't really followed up on asking if we're still going or not. So yeah, things are looking pretty good for the Chan, man. I tell you what, man. So yeah, things are looking good for me. I guess you could say so. But anyways, that's enough about my day in life. Let's see. On my notes here, I just said any other shit you want to talk about. Well, I do want to kind of just talk about work for a minute, just because some of the people I have to deal with at work, it just kind of irritates. And actually, you know what? No, I'm not gonna spill the beans on work. That's not necessary. And mainly, because I've given some thought about using this platform to cancel somebody at work, because just maybe if I got enough people to see this video, and then could write reviews and complaints about this coworker that I'm with, maybe we can get him sort of fired. But I don't know if I have the hearts to do it. I don't know if I have the heart to do it, but at the same time, I could care less about this person, because he sucks at his job, and he's not that great of a person. He kind of has the act of acting like a good person, but in reality, he's not a good person. He's not a good person at all. He's annoying. He's not a good person, and he's just annoying as hell. Like, he just won't shut up half the time. He just has to keep talks about the same stories every time. Funny enough, today's his fucking birthday, so he's gonna make a big thing about his birthday today, and about how he's turning, I don't know, 40 or something like that. So yeah, and the dude still lives with his fucking parents. The dude's 40 and he still lives with his parents. I'm like, dude, get out of the house. You're a grown ass man, even though by me saying he's a grown ass man doesn't actually mean he actually is. He's a child inside of a man's body, basically. He just needs to grow up and get out of his parents' house. His parents are like 70 or 80 years old. Like, dude, get out of the house. Go live life. And somehow this man was married at one point. I don't know how any girl found him attractive. I don't know how any girl was willing to marry this man. This man I don't even know. Some girl found him attractive enough and was willing to marry him at one point. And maybe she came to the realization during the marriage, holy shit, I made a mistake. I want a divorce. Now, I don't know how long they were married for. I do not remember. But it's crazy that he was even married at one point. Maybe on another episode, I'll get you guys to help me out and get rid of this coworker and use a platform to get him fired at work. Yeah. All right. I think that's gonna be it for today's episode. I wasn't gonna make this episode too long. I don't know how long I went for. How long have we gone for so far? Does it say here? Oh, 35. About 35 minutes. So I think there's a good stopping point. It's gonna get back in the groove, talking sports with the boys, talking to you guys, all that stuff. So I think I'm going to wrap it up for today here on today's episode. So with that all being said, I will see you guys. Wait, before I go here, one quick thing. I'm not going to actually, no, man. I'm not even going to try and commit to some type of schedule. Next time I come on, maybe I will have a better sense of when I'm going to be on, or when episodes are going to be, because I want to be a little bit more. I don't want to give you guys hope. He's going to be back on this sort of its Monday, Wednesday, Friday bullshit. What's today? Wednesday. So this episode will come out immediately after I get done. But I want you guys to be patient. I would promise to be a little bit more putting out. Let's say for the time being, let's do a 2 episode per week, or even a 1 episode per week type of deal. And then, because I'm thinking if I'm going to be back for March Madness, then I'm going to be back all in. But anyways, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. Go find us on every platform that you have on podcasts and all that. So make sure you do that. Tell your friends and everything. And I will see you guys next time.